Justice here on the streets of San Francisco. I am with the Gray family. We are trying to come together as a group and lead a conscience. We're trying to lead for justice. That's where we're going, towards justice. On the streets of San Francisco. 2020, we have a message. Our message is for justice in our black communities here in San Francisco. Black lives matter! 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 Black lives matter!
Yeah, I took out $40.
Black lives matter!
And there was 51 left in.
Black lives matter! 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 We are the historians of CityBall. Mark Jordan. We out here, Athletes United for Justice. We have come together today with one message. That's justice for the black communities here in San Francisco. Mark Jordan, Joe Belfry, we are historians. We want to give you the message. We want to give you some sharing all the time. Thank you. Thank you. Black lives matter! 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 Black lives matter!
Good afternoon. I want to welcome everyone to the first. I hope this won't be many meetings like this, but this is the first meeting organized in the name of Athletes United for Justice.
Yes.
And it's more than apropos that we pay homage to two individuals who helped make this day happen. One person I want to talk about right off the bat real quickly is Larry Gray, Lawrence Gray. I want to give him a big round of applause. He was the man who brought midnight basketball to San Francisco, and we're going to bring midnight basketball back to San Francisco.
Great.
The next person I want to introduce you to is the gentleman who came up with the name Athletes United for Justice, and that's Mr. Edward Topper Allen. Where is Mr. Allen? Edward Topper Allen, legend in San Francisco basketball history, went on to make waves for the Pepperdine Waves as one of their star players. I'm going to start this program off right away with our first speaker for the morning. He's going to introduce to you the speakers who are coming after him, and then I will take over after he has left. But I want you to pay homage to and give a big round of applause to someone who happens to be an attorney, who happens to be dedicated to the lives of our students and our scholar athletes in San Francisco, none other than the commissioner of the California Interscholastic Federation San Francisco section over the AAA, all city, everything you can think of regarding athletics, physical education in San Francisco, and that is none other than Donald Collins, Esquire.
Thank you, Derek. Appreciate that. I know I'm preaching to the choir here right now, but I do want to thank everybody for being so kind as to attend. As Derek mentioned, this is Athletes United for Justice. You can see right there the sign, the number 4 is in there. That's important because That's the web address, and it's a .com at the end. So athletesunitedforjustice.com. And yes, Derek, thank you for introducing me. I'm going to introduce the program, letting you know you're going to see a number of speakers. They'll be mostly coaches, athletes, former athletes, and they are all moved by the killing of George Floyd, moved by Black Lives Matter. They will speak to liberation, justice, accountability, sacrifice. And you should know, much of our national focus has been a focus on what should be a self-evident statement, namely, we just don't want to see black folks killed for a bad 20, George Floyd, selling a loose cigarette, Eric Garner, a back shooting, Walter Scott, and of course close to home, you've got Mario Woods, and far away, in Louisville, you've got Breonna Taylor, and we could name others, and we could name them going back for quite some time. But you should all note, don't kill us is really a self-evident.
We'll take over after he has left. But I want you to pay homage to and give a big round of applause to someone who happens to be an attorney, who happens to be dedicated to the lives of our students and our scholar athletes in San Francisco, none other than the commissioner of the California Interscholastic Federation San Francisco section over the AAA, all city, everything you can think of regarding athletics, physical education in San Francisco, and that is none other than Donald Collins, Esquire.
Thank you, Derek. Appreciate that. I know I'm preaching to the choir here right now, but I do want to thank everybody for being so kind as to attend. As Derek mentioned, this is Athletes United for Justice. You can see right there the sign, the number 4 is in there. That's important because that's the web address, and it's a .com at the end. So athletesunitedforjustice.com. And yes, Derek, thank you for introducing me. I'm going to introduce the program, letting you know you're going to see a number of speakers. They'll be mostly coaches, athletes, former athletes, and they are all moved by the killing of George Floyd, moved by Black Lives Matter. They will speak to liberation, justice, accountability, sacrifice. And you should know, much of our national focus has been a focus on what should be a self-evident statement, namely, we just don't want to see black folks killed for a bad 20, George Floyd, selling a loose cigarette, Eric Garner, a back shooting, Walter Scott, and of course close to home, you've got Mario Woods, and far away, in Louisville, you've got Breonna Taylor, and we could name others, and we could name them going back for quite some time. But you should all note, don't kill us is really a self-evident and low bar. Today's speakers will certainly remind us of the need not to breach that low bar, but they will also remind us of the hard work to raise that bar in numerous institutions. And they will discuss goals and aspirations within those institutions, and they will discuss things you can do, and discuss how you can hold institutions accountable and hold yourself and your peers and others around you to the highest of high standards also. These speakers let you know that yes, our lives matter in the sense that you should not kill us, and that our lives matter in the sense that we must all work together to make sure that we all can maximize our potential free from external obstacles of racism, bias, and fear. Let me break down who we're going to hear from today. Let's see, Derek was kind enough to text that to me, so now I have to just, okay, so here's who we have. The next speaker will be Joe Belfry, then the Reverend Kevin O'Brien, Andre Big Herm Lewis, Allie Jones, Sidney Keys, Baxter Arterberry. I saw Ken Block, but I've lost, oh, he's right in front of me. That's why I couldn't see you, Ken. You know, all right, Ken's right in front of me. And Larry, I think you said there were a couple of others. Do we know who they are? Okay, we will, you got them now?
Oh, no.
Okay, so, and then after Ken, there will be a couple of others who, Derek has their names and will introduce them at the appropriate time. So let me bring up here my man from CityBall, but I might have got the timing bad because I don't know. There he is. Come on up here, Joe. Joe, it's your show.
Good morning, everyone. I mean, God is good all the time. God woke me up and said, go be with your village. And the Spirit has moved us here to Ella Hill Huts this morning. He kept us safe and sound. And I see all this energy out here. CityBall is just all of us have CityBall in our DNA. It's just this current version of CityBall is just for everyone. I just want to keep encouraging everyone that we are here to unify. Also, we stand for justice of the time.
All right.
Our families want to smell the flowers while they are living.
Amen.
We are tired of seeing mothers crying, daddies being mad. They can't smell flowers when they're ill or they're not here anymore. So I just want to keep encouraging us to get together, come together for the next generation of our people here in San Francisco. We are tired of seeing this injustice. We need to come together as one for the next generation. A lot of us maybe no longer here as residents of San Francisco, but we have to preserve our legacies, our history, and for the percentages that are still long-standing families here in San Francisco, they need to know that they have some security, some insurance, because a lot of us need to come together for the wisdom that we've created. We need to gather that again and fight for the injustices that are going on here in our black and brown communities. And as a whole, I think that this is a positive day and a positive time for us to come together. So as CityBall representative, I just want to say on behalf of our organization, we are looking forward to communicating with all the organization of people and aspiring young men and women that want to be leaders and organizers. We want to stand with you, and I look forward to seeing, and we want to continue to create an environment that is welcome for everyone. So CityBallers and friends out there, this is your boy, Joe Bales. I represent CityBall. Most of my team couldn't be here today. President Al Banks, Ricky Mixon, and a few other of the CityBall team. We stand together 100% of the time. I want to thank Larry Gray, his family, Maisha, and many others who are here today, the ambassador, Mr. Tulliver, and many others. I salute you and I join with you on a great message, Athletes United for Justice. Thank you and have a good day, everybody.
Thank you so much, Mr. Joe Belfry. I don't know if Reverend Kevin O'Brien is here. Is he here? How about Andre Herm Lewis? Is he here today? Okay. Let's have Ken. Is Ken here?
CityBall.
Okay. Okay. Not this one. Not this one. No, not this one.
Friends of athletes for.
I wanted to come and share this story mainly for people that are white, that we know what a black person goes through from childhood all the way up to even now, where I work with the Unified School District right now in San Francisco. I love my city. First of all, I'll tell you, in 1968, when Martin Luther King died, I was a student at James Denman Middle School, and there was a riot after Martin died, and school was let out, and I went to Geneva and Mission to catch the bus home, and 4 white guys approached me, and they start calling me the N-word, and I went and got a cop that was about 6'6", with his riot gear on. He was white, and his badge number was 053. It's the reason why I never forget that number. When he came over to me, I told him that these guys were doing what they did and calling me the N-word, and he raised his club and told me, "You are a nigger." And I went home and cried to my parents that day. I was only in the 7th grade. But I went on. It emotionally just bothered me for a while. The next incident is when I was a baseball player most of my life, still play, even at 65. Playing a game out in Golden Gate Park. In the previous week, I had a teammate that was in the police academy at the time. And I hit a home run the week before because the pitcher quick pitched me, and I got angry. That means that before I got in the box, he was already pitching the ball. And when I got back in the dugout, one of my teammates, Steve Osborne, who went to Washington High School, he says, "Hey, Steve said that's nigger ball what you're playing." And at that time, I didn't respond. I was more into the game. Didn't approach him at all. But I do remember that in the previous months, he had beat up a couple of black guys on the team. He's 6'2½". He had bullied them. And the following week, we were out at Big Rec, Golden Gate Park, playing semi-pro baseball. And again, this is my teammate. I hit a one-hopper to the second baseman, and I jogged to second base. And he came on the field. He's not the coach or anything, and he started telling me, "Who do I think I am? I should be running balls out." And at that time, I said, "Hey, I heard you call me a nigger last week. Why don't we walk over here and just talk like men?" And at that time, I sat on the bench, and he approached me with his fist ball. And I remember what he did to the other 2 guys. When he got close, I punched him. I didn't know what the punch was going to resort into damage to his face, but anyway, I'll make it short. He was in the police academy at the time, and he had a baseball uniform. 2 weeks later, I was arrested for assault on a police officer, assault with a deadly weapon. Only 1 punch thrown. I lost my Muni job that I had passed the test for. Never got a chance to drive. Every application that I filled out, I had to put a 243A and a 245A on it. The only job that I could end up with, janitor or security. But God still made a way for me to survive. Then, for 3 months, after they convicted me of it, I had to do the work furlough program, and there was no room in the work furlough program, and I had to do weekends in jail for 3 months for a baseball game. And during the work furlough program, I was going to work, and Officer Collins seen me on the street. He arrested me, took me to Northern Station, and handcuffed me to a chair for 2.5 hours. Said I had traffic warrants. Any police officer knows that you can't get into the sheriff's work furlough program if you got any warrants, so he eventually had to let me go. But the power of the badge, Mr. Collins came up, and it was a trial. I had the late Dante Benedetti, the coach at USF, come and testify on my behalf, and teammates. The judge railroaded me. It's not just the cops. The district attorney railroaded me. Mr. Collins got on the stands, being a police officer for the San Francisco, and he raised his hand and told the judge, "Yes, I call Mr. Block a nigger. We call it nigger ball in the minor leagues, Judge." He was still allowed to get his gun and go into the black community with his gun. So I just wanted to share that story with you, because that maybe it'll help people realize that the pain that a black man goes through, starting life from a child. Thank you.
Personal and real story. So a little bit more than a story. It's a truth that we live with on a daily basis. I see our next speaker. This person is an immortal legend in the history of San Francisco front basketball. Went on to enjoy an illustrious career at the University of Nevada, Reno, as a basketball star. Some of you know him from his Mission High School glory days as the immortal helicopter, none other than Mr. Thaxter Arterberry.
Let me get my jog on. I can't do nothing else. How do I do it? Hey, brother. Hey, you guys. How y'all doing? It's been a while since I've been here. Jerry Keys, the monster. History speaks to my story. I left San Francisco, for most of you don't know, because I've been gone a long time, but I left San Francisco in 1978. Haven't been back since. I left San Francisco in 1978, heading to the University of Nevada, Reno. I haven't been back since, but my family is here. Now, my story goes a little bit deep. First of all, Black lives does matter. It is not because all lives don't matter. So I use the analogy of a subdivision. If one house in the subdivision is burning, the other homes don't matter. The only home that matters is the one that's on fire. So as it relates to our culture, our multicultural country that we live in, Black lives are on fire on a daily basis. My story, I don't have a negative police encounter. I just didn't. But the impact of police injustice rests within my soul because it impacted my family, which indirectly impacts me. I had one brother sentenced to 25 years in prison. Me and Donald Robinson, most of you who don't know, we both came down from Reno, 1981, to sit in on their sentence. My brother was sentenced to 25 years for bank robbery. My cousin, who was his co-conspirator, was sentenced to 85 years in prison. The white female who actually robbed the banks, her daddy was a bank robber, his daddy was a bank robber. She got 18 months. So the system doesn't need to be repaired. The system is broken. It needs to be replaced. And that's the only way we're going to create a system that is just for blacks. For the simple fact, one or two things have to happen. And I'm not going to keep the mic long like Joe Belfry. If you want to fix the system, one or two things will have to happen. You will either have to address slavery, or you're going to have to reduce the population. And from what I can see, based on this virus and all of the different things, medical being offset and really not part of our community, it looks like the system has chosen to reduce the population for the mere fact that slavery is not being talked about. So again, my name is Thaxter Arterberry. I have a radio show in Sacramento called Money Talks Radio. It comes on Monday and Tuesdays. I'm on social media. It's called Money Talks Radio Show. And post-pandemic, post the march, after the dust settles, and we have to remember that this is not the first time we've marched, this is not the first time we've looted, this is not the first time we've burned down buildings. But when the dust settles, my brothers, my sisters of all colors, we have to make sure that the Poor People's Campaign is reignited, because the homeless is just out of whack. We have to get back to understanding what financial literacy is, and we're going to have to spread it. Brother to brother, sister to sister, we got to do a better job of building our wealth. That's the only way we're going to attack and make permanent change politically. Thank you.
The people involved in a movement to change how we look at what is going on, not only here in the city and county of San Francisco, but we get a view of what's going on nationwide. The next speaker is none other than the daughter, and in her own right, a legendary individual in our midst. Her father was a legendary Snake Jones, who had an illustrious career at USF, but she's made her own way as an artist, as a dancer, as a multimedia personality. She needs no further introduction until she talks to you herself. And if we want to have a big round of applause for Miss Allie Jones.
My name is Allie Jones. I'm from this area, born and raised in Fillmore. I went to school at George Washington High School, played basketball for George Washington High School, also played for City College, and I hold the record for hammer and discus and hammer throw and all that stuff. I'm also a Caribbean dancer, and I just want to share my truth, and I want to, inspire my people to be great. So just bear with me. We are all here today because of the senseless murder of George Floyd and the many others within the past months of the quarantine. This will go down in history for our freedom and our nation because of the innocent deaths. After 450 years, we are still not free, and we are still chained to discrimination. As athletes, we wear a uniform. Being black in schools isn't as fun until you have a uniform because you don't feel as important. We as athletes wear uniforms and travel from city to city, from state to state, even to different countries to fight as an American competitor. Yet, to come home, to take off our uniforms, to be treated harshly after we come back with a win. Being African American is great, but being an athlete, I can take off my uniform, whereas I can't my skin. Colin Kaepernick, I stand with you. I come before you because of this huge crisis we have, and we are all citizens of America. We as black people need to come together. Black on black crime is systematic racism ran by the government. It's pointless, and it must stop and end now. We are killing off our own race. We are helping the government kill us. Don't bury your brother. Talk and acknowledge him. The world cannot go back to what it was before. It is not working. Even though we don't know our brother George Floyd personally, we feel and we felt what happened to him, and we know it must change. The police must stop over-policing our neighborhoods and our communities. The police must stop physical force. The police must stop cruel and harsh punishments. The police must stop profiling us. I should not feel in danger when I call the police. I should not feel like my life is in jeopardy when I feel a police officer come behind me when I'm driving. We all want, we want segregation to stop. We want equal right protection. We want equal protection under the law. We want more black representation. We want more politicians. We want more doctors, judges, actors, scientists, engineers, nail stylists, artists, you name it. We need more black dollars in our pockets to build our own hospitals, schools, and uplift our own communities. Yeah. We cannot turn back now. We will and should never have ever been treated like this, and we should never stop until we are treated fairly. No justice, no peace. I hold these truths, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men, children, and women are created equally, to be judged by the content of our character and not by the color of our skin. I have a couple solutions, and hopefully we can hold these out. The solutions that I have: we demand convictions and prison time for all police officers associated with the George Floyd, Oscar Grant, even though that's already passed, Breonna Taylor, and furthermore. We must hold all police officers accountable for their actions, and the legislators to ensure the independent review of public safety. We demand the modification of the ways the police officers are prosecuted. We must justice and a long-term reform. We must force change. We must reunite to protect our own. We shall overcome. Thank you.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. What'd you say?
We're going to have our next speaker come to the podium.
I love you guys. I love us. I fight for us.
And the next speaker, we have scheduled Jason Maddox here.
I don't know.
Jason Maddox. The other person that can add are Andre Peoples.
Go Andre!
Mr. Andre Peoples is going to be our next speaker.
I'll do it right now. I love you too. Thanks for joining in.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you.
My name is Andre Peoples. I was born in 1957, and I have a story to tell, but also has a solution too. And we all must help in the solution. One of the solutions that we should have is with Allie Jones. She actually played basketball with my daughter, Monet Peoples. Is we should change the system, but within. We need more black social workers. We need more black probation officers. We need more black police officers, firefighters, politicians. Within the system, we need to get in the system, because we're not going to change the system unless we're in it. That's what we need to do. Being born in 1957 and growing up in the 60s, it was so much racism going on that you can't even imagine. I went to Monroe Elementary, that's in the Excelsior District. I had two older brothers that didn't go to school with me, so I had to walk to school alone. I was actually short and chubby. From kindergarten to the 1st grade, they didn't let me even go to recess or lunch. They discouraged. The only time I was able to play with any of my white Americans was before school. They closed that down for me too. They closed the yard and I couldn't get in. When I was in the 3rd grade, I had a teacher named Miss Eller. She looked at me and asked me, what was I doing in her class? I said, I am in your class. She said, you come here, sit right here, right here. So I came and sat there and she said, no, you go stand in the corner, go stand in the corner. So I had to go stand in the corner. I say, almost the whole school year, I had to sit in the corner. Mostly I stood for at least 3 months. She said, the only thing that an inn can do for me is clean my floors. So after school, I had to sweep her floors, clean her floors, do the chalkboard, and that was it. She used to send notes home to my parents. And being in the 60s, raised by a black family from Louisiana, you know what happened when you got home. So I was so afraid. Even when I went to go get a drink of water, we used to travel, go get a drink of water, and I remember getting snatched up by my grandmother because I drunk out of the wrong water fountain. And they was calling me the N-word, he drunk out of that fountain. I was like, what? That's the clean one. And I was supposed to drink out the dirty one. We would travel, and we had to not go to these gas stations and use the bathroom, so we had to go behind trees to do our number 2s and number 1s. It was so unreal to me because I didn't really understand, because my brothers was older and they had more of an understanding. My being short and chunky, I got picked on, I got spit on, I got chased, I got beat up. It was a lot of things that I had to endure. But one thing that I just always remember, that I was always in church. Always in church. And God gave me the strength, gave me the power to overcome all of this. I got married in 1979. I had 7 kids. 7 kids. Now I have 7 kids and 10 grandkids. I have a great granddaughter. I have another grandkid on the way, and another great grandkid, 2 more great grandkids on the way. If I would have not been strong, believing in myself, believing in God, I wouldn't be here today, and neither one of my kids or grandkids or great grandkids would be here. So for you black Americans that's here, white Americans that's here, our struggles is so deep. I cried myself to sleep. I wanted to commit suicide so many times. I played Russian roulette. This runs so deep in my heart. America. I am an American. I am a black American. I am so American that the Patriots, that little man that gets down on his knee, get out on for hiking, I became a Patriot fan because I knew they fought for freedom. And we fought for freedom, but we still struggling today. I actually refereed basketball. I repped here, I done played here, I done repped all over. I am a black man that has so many struggles and so many kids. I've worked 2 jobs for 15 years. I'm a delivery driver. I referee basketball. I'd have been a referee up to 145 games in 1 month before. I averaged 125 games a month. Plus, going to work, being a delivery drive took 4 days off. 4 days off in 5 years. In 5 years. I've only missed maybe less than 10 games, was able to go for 10 games. So my struggles, all I can remember is growing up is keep the faith. My mom told me, bless her soul, Andre, life is hard, and life is going to get harder for you. But keep the faith. And that's what we have to do. We have to change the system within. We have to get more black police officers. I know black police officers. I have a cousin, Fred Peoples, that was OPD. There's a lot of great police officers in the union, in here. But we have to get more. But it's up to us to turn around and help our young black kids in school. We have to support them. We have to get them off the streets. It's up to us to get these kids off the street, not the system. It's up to us. That's what we have to do. If we don't do this, then we are lost. Yeah, I attended a Kwanzaa at my church, and there was a lady, beautiful singing, beautiful lady. And she started talking, and she said that she is a probation officer, black lady. And she said the system is to separate the black family. And I'm like, well, how would you know that? She said, and I used to be a social worker. And that's what they did. They always try to separate the black family. And the same thing with the police officers, with the court system. My son is right now, I have a son in San Quentin. He's been brutalized 2 different times, at Santa Rita and San Mateo. Where you couldn't even recognize him. I've been thrown off the bus, handcuffed, face down on the ground, guns pointed to my head, but that's not nothing of what he has been going through in his whole life. He has bucked the system, and I'm saying, don't buck the system, son. I teach all my kids, please, when you go in the store with 5 people, they're looking at you. Whenever you go, you get a job, trying to get a job, they're going to talk to you, and you have to be totally respectful. I got a brother-in-law named Wyatt McIntyre. He's black. Me and him used to go fill out applications all the time. Guess who got the call? Andre Peoples? No, Wyatt McIntyre. So we have to hug our little kids, these little kids on the streets. We have to support them in sports, in school, elementary school, middle school, and high school. We have to be there for them. That's what it's all about. To change the system, we have to get in the system to change the system. We had a black president, we have a black mayor. But as a system, we're still getting shot down. So how to change the system is we gotta get in there and change it ourselves. One of my sons, when he did weekends. You know why he did weekends on a crime that he actually did not do? He was guilty association because he had a black judge in Oakland. This black judge saw me in the parking lot, and I recognized him, doing his trial. His daughter was actually playing for Lowell basketball, and my daughter, Monet Peoples, right here, was playing for Burton. And he looked at me, and I said, Judge, how you doing? Judge Clay, how you doing? He said, I know you. I said, yeah, you know me. My name is Andre Peoples. Dante's my son. He said, where is Dante? I said, he's in the gym right now filming his sister play. He said, Monet? Oh, I should have thought about it. Everybody's trying to stop Monet Peoples. So we got I ain't gonna say a break, but we had somebody in the system that knew what we were struggling with. And he only had to do weekends. I took him to Santa Rita, picked him up every weekend. So if we really, really true want to change the system, we need our blacks, we need our Latinos, we need our Asians, we need our whites, everybody that support us. We need to get in the system, and that's where we need to change it. Thank you. Love you all. One love.
It's a beautiful day out here, watching all this energy. Speakers are just beautiful. One message, and that's justice. Justice, justice. We are excited. We are forming. We are uniting all because for justice.
Man, heartfelt. Let me give you a situation similar to him, but in a different form. Okay? My dad was a retired longshoreman. He's passed now, but was a retired longshoreman and was a supervisor over the crane, shipyard, and the trucking. My mom was a retired social worker and a full-time evangelist. It's safe to say I came from a good family, God-fearing family. Here's the thing. Me and the family that I have, we all stick together. It's always raised to stick together. And in that, I wound up picking up sports as a thing to get away from everything else in between, like work, because I always worked and whatnot. But there was a day where I was a junior. I want to say I was probably about 17. No record, going to school, working, and a full-time worker and athlete. So I did my studies at work. My 30 and 15, I would just do my homework in between and then get back to work and then go home and finish up. And that was my daily routine other than go to school and do sports. So there was a day where it was a weekend and I went out with a friend right up on Haight Street and was walking down, and a police officer had a situation in someone's home, a domestic violence with 2 Caucasian people. I don't know what it was about him, but he felt that he needed to approach me like I had some type of attitude or anything, and I just kindly said, "How you doing, officer?" whatever, and he got mad at me. Started talking all this crazy stuff. I told him I'm a taxpayer. I pay your salary, bro. Like, you need to be cool with all that. I'm not even, really trying to engage a conversation with somebody that's being ignorant, so I kept it pushing. Went to the store, came out. The person approached me. I seen it already happen. You walk and you see this is not going to end well. Because he's going to approach me. I see he's mad, but he should be paying attention to what he was called for. And me speaking my mind, I didn't think nothing of it because I haven't never been through a racial issue. So this was my first. So he approached me and said, "What did you say to me?" And I said, "I didn't say nothing out my rights, man. So what is it? What's the problem?" I couldn't get the rest of it out. He started swinging at me. I fought back. I knocked his teeth out, gave him 16 stitches in his lip, and didn't move. I got somewhere where I was safe and tried to surrender. Once I got cuffs on me, I was pepper sprayed from every angle you could imagine. They started beating me up. Mind you, I didn't go that far from the scene because I knew I just committed some type of situation where I'm gonna have to deal with the law. I was raised right. So I got somewhere where everybody could see me so that I wouldn't get killed, because I wasn't no idiot to where what's going on around in my community, because I'm from Fillmore, okay? So at the end of the day, I wound up getting put in the car and left in there at that station right there for 30 minutes, burning from pepper spray, shot in the hose, full blast, and started ramming it in my eyes, like this is what you want. I was getting treated the most terrible way. Then they put me in. So there's your money. So if the Ku Klux Klan was our police officers, our doctors, the people in, the legislative chairs, all of that in that nature, and they never got caught and they got away with so many things, don't you see we have a way bigger deal to deal with? So where is the funding for that? How is it that you could see gang signs while Army people are saluting the flag and you start seeing stuff? Everyone's seeing it, but no one's saying anything. But you got videos and documentaries, many of them, on how black, Mexican, white, Chinese, and all the ethnic groups conduct themselves around certain things. All type of theses of how other people convert to other people's religions, this, that, and the third. But there's nothing about the Ku Klux Klan on the signs, the insignias of anything. Because that's the agenda that don't nobody get to see, because we're not the powers inside the radio, inside the TVs. You got K-Fox, you got KCBS. No, and you're not keeping it out there, you're keeping it inside, and that's wrong. You're not doing a service to God or to the people you claim you love. All right? I'm done. Yeah. Jason Maddox.
Good afternoon. First of all, my name is Ike Elliott, and I used to live right there in Lauren Miller Projects, right there in the homes right there. I raised my kids up here in this community. My kids, all of them are athletes, and all receive scholarship through sports and athletics. I myself coach high school sports and also work in park and recreation department, and has been involved in the community, whether it's local here, throughout the district, throughout the region, and throughout the state, trying to formalize activities to keep our kids involved in activities. The one reason why I'm here today, and why we all are here today, we're here in solidarity. We all are athletes. One way or another have played or participated in the sport. For all the, before I get started to speak, first of all, with the speakers prior to me, I want you guys to give them a round of applause. Yeah! They shared their personal lives, stories, real life stories with you. Turn this down. And for all of us, I'd like for everybody to take a knee in silence for 9 minutes. We'll say 9 minutes. So we all kneel for one moment to give, for those that have lost their lives through our police violence, please take a knee. Please take a knee. We only got 3 minutes left. Relax. Let's all rise. To applaud in remembrance the breath of life that was taken. And he admitted, I cannot breathe. Let me breathe. I cannot breathe. We just took a moment of 9 minutes. 9 minutes. This is a lifetime. Being black in America, we all know, it's a job, a daily job. And using sports as an analogy, football, coaches tell you all the time, keep your head on a swivel. Play to the whistle, but also keep playing till the play is over with. Sports, all of us athletes, we were taught this is game of life. We learned the game of life through what we did on the courts, on the field, on the diamond. We learned the game of life, how to join together and unite ourselves for a common good. And I say to all of you here today, we need to do that, continue to unite ourselves. Do not let this day go by where you don't touch someone or give someone positive reinforce of something they can do positive within their life. Myself, I've lived through 7 decades of life here, and through my life, I'm a young man from Virginia, and you can imagine, brother mentioned KKKs, I had experienced that firsthand. And to say that I experienced that firsthand, and I come here by way of being in the military, even when I was overseas. Everyone looked upon us with tails on our backs because of what people in other countries were told who we were, who we are. Come back to the States, find out nothing has changed. Fighting for a cause, unknown cause, that I was told to protect this country. But in the midst of all this, I realized it's not the country I have to protect. I have to protect myself, my family, and make it known to everyone that they have to unify themselves together. We have to stand together. We can talk about school, education. We can talk about everything that's going on in life. We're not here based on law enforcement. We're here on behalf of the people that wear the badge and hide behind the shield for all the wrongdoing they do. And all the hatred we heard the stories earlier. I don't need to continue to say that. But at the same time, we can go back to the early days of James Baldwin, Muhammad Ali, all the athletes that we know that played, Sonny Liston, all the greats that played or boxed or participated in a sport. And even today, the earliest one in the last 4 years, Colin Kaepernick. Even before that, in basketball, it was the same problem. But the idea here today is we need to stand strong today, stand strong every day, and find a solution ourselves. We don't have to wait for someone else to tell us or dictate to us what we need to do. We need to come together and unify our resources. And just among the guys that organized this event, it's just only a handful of us got together and decided this is what we wanted to do. And we felt that we needed to get the word out to our community, how and what we need to do. I know Brother Larry Gray will be up here later and talk about some things, and as well as inviting you to be part of what we're doing or what we want to do. So I leave you with this message. All lives matter, but black lives need to stand tall together at any cost. Because I saw this as a child, like I said, when I saw the KKK at the age of 8 years old. It was all black communities that pulled together and stood behind each other, supported each other. Each community, we think about the Fillmore, we talk about Double Rock, we talk about 3rd Street, we talk about West Side. Any part of our community, we all should unite together. We have to stop this infighting. What I mean by infighting, we all got opinions. But the bottom line, the one word that I'll leave you with, let's love one another and work towards our common goal. Thank you.
Good afternoon, you guys. Like you said, my name is Dave McCall, a.k.a. Radar. I grew up in this community. I grew up in Hunters Point until I was 10, and I moved here to Fillmore. And I just want to say, I just want to say something. This is my community, and this is serious stuff what's going on with this police excessive force and black on black crime. But I know Black Lives Matter, but for me, all lives matter. First, I just want to say, first giving honor to God, because He's the head of my life. And this is a matter to me of good and evil. God is about love. The devil is about evil, and this is just an attack. And we've been under attack for a long time. Nobody is exempt from being under attack. Our families are under attack. Our marriages are under attack. Our children are under attack. The churches are under attack. Right now, we are under a global attack and a global crisis where they have us just enabling us, restricting us from doing stuff. But we have to find a way to progress, right? So we first have to start with self. we always have to look at ourselves. A lot of these brothers and a lot of these speakers who came up here before, the brothers and sisters, you know, they spoke on the things that's happened, but we got to talk about ourselves. What can we do? When I look at this stuff going on, I say, what can I do? You know, and we have to help our children. We have to go down to the schools. First, we got to vote. First, we got to get Trump out of office. That's what we got to do first. If we don't know where to go, we have to vote. Voting is what, in October, November? We got to get him out of there. Okay? So we have to, people walk for us to utilize our right to vote. We have to vote. Then we have to deal with our own kids. It starts in our own home, right? We got to deal with our own kids. We got to teach our kids about praying together. A praying family, praying together, stay together. We got to teach them the values when they come out here in the streets on how to deal with them, how to handle themselves. So we got to educate our children. We can't just let them out in these streets and just let them go and let them run wild, because this is what happened, right? They end up either being killed or killing somebody else. But if we learn how to teach our kids before they even hit the streets, then how many of us go down to the schools? We have to go to the schools and be in the classrooms. How many of us have went to the classroom with our kids and sat there while the teacher is teaching them that we sitting there in the classroom? We have to be a part of the education system to help our kids. Okay, my mom, we had 6 kids. She was on welfare. We was in Hunters Point in the projects. My oldest brother got shot. We, in the Hunters Point, you know, the hospital's all on this side of town. So we bamming on doors trying to get my brother to the hospital. We end up getting a ride and he living, but what my mother said was, I gotta get out the welfare system. So my mother sent 6 kids. We went to Jedediah Smith after she sent us to school, and after she cooked for us, she caught the bus and went to City College at night. She went for 2 years and got her degree. Then she worked at the San Francisco Library for 30 years. She delivered books to the inmates, just trying to give them education. And she's administered to them while they was inside. So I'm saying to you is that we all are going to be faced with trials and tribulations in our life. That's just what it is, okay? And so we have to figure out why are we here today, right? I know we all got stories. I mean, we all can tell stories about death, about drug and alcohol addiction, about all kind of stuff. We can all tell stories, but what are we going to do about it, okay? What are we going to do? What stand are we going to take? And the thing is, what is the hard part is, we got to forgive to move on. If we don't forgive, we're going to stay. That bondage is going to stay with us. So we can't live in yesterday. We can't look in the rearview mirror of what happened. At some point, I'm not saying we all grieve, and everybody grieve differently, but at some point we got to move on. We got to move forward. And the only way to move forward is to let the past go, and we got to think about strategies and things that we can do to move forward. And it starts with self. I can't look for this guy or this man over here. It starts with self. And what can I do to be a part of it? And we got our kids that we have to lead. We have to be leaders. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a deacon, I'm an instructor. We gotta lead, right? I can't wait on somebody else. So what I'm saying to you today, folks, is don't just talk about it, be about it. Ask yourself, what can you do? Start with your own kids, right in your home. Teach them some values that they can do when they come in the street, okay? And see if they ready. Get them some values, get them love, get them some support. Like you say, we had sports. Our year, 75, I say from 74 to about 84, I don't know how far it went, but we were blessed. The City Ballers, if you see here, the City Ballers, we got athletes from every school. You don't see that today. Some of the athletes can't go to Hunters Point. They can't go to Lakeview. They can't come to Fillmore because they at odds, okay? Because they don't know no better. We make each other better. Some of us got businesses together. We working together. Our kids are growing up together. Okay, we showing love and unity. We got to get out of the evilness and hatred. We got to let that go, you guys. Okay, and we got to work together, and it start with us, fathers. Okay, step up, man up. Okay, we gotta lead our women. We gotta respect our women. Right? They are queens. We can't be calling them out their name. We can't be disrespecting them. They are queens that's raising our children. So we got to give them respect, right? And show them that we are men, right? And we have to stay in the Lord. Because God is love, is good. Or the devil is evil, hatred. He comes to kill. He comes to destroy. He comes to separate. He comes to divide. We want unity. Okay? So educate your children. A lot of us, we went to school, right? I thought I was going to the NBA. There's a lot of my buddies out here. We thought we was going to the NBA, but guess what? Because I didn't go don't mean I quit on life. I got my degree. I was fortunate enough to get my degree. Then we can go to communities and help our young kids. We all know somebody who's a great athlete, but he got all F's in school, right? Because nobody is letting them know we have resources. They have tutors, you know? We have to use our resources to help our kids. But if we just stay blind to our kids coming up, and we're not giving them love, and we're not paying attention, guess what? The streets are gonna grab them, okay? So we gotta get back to this law enforcement stuff. The only way we're gonna make change, and it's not gonna happen overnight, is we're gonna have to be together, okay? These marches, these talks, they are helping. They are helping. But when it's time, we have to vote, and we can't stop here, okay? We can't stop. As soon as school come back, make sure our kids in school. As soon as school come back, go down there with your kid. They have back to school night. Don't just send your kid, because guess what? He ain't going by himself. But if I'm there with my kid, and I'm sitting there to school night, that's where I'm gonna make change. Then I know he's getting what he's supposed to get. Let one of us get on the board of supervisors or the education system. We gotta start, hey, let me in. I wanna know what education is being taught to my kids. Okay, they don't have black history in school anymore. They don't have theology. That's us, right? We spiritual people, right? So they don't have nothing, they taking that away. So I don't look at it as, you know, what they doing to me. I look at it as, what can I do to make things better? Because it's gonna always be what somebody doing to you. And we have to get our kids on board right now. Our young kids, we have to, our babies, okay? They coming into this thing in a pandemic era, right? They don't know what's going on. But we have to educate them to let them know, hey, I didn't stop when this pandemic came. Some of us are, I kept on working. I kept on trying to make a dollar. I had to do what I can do to survive to get you guys through it. Because it starts with leadership. If our leadership give up, guess what? The followers gonna give up. So me as the man of my house, they're gonna see me continue to be positive. They're gonna continue to see me work, to striving to help not only myself, I gotta help my brother, I gotta help my sister. Right? That's where I get my blessing. My blessing is trying to help you and seeing you happy and seeing you get through it. Right? And then that's when I'm blessed. Because I'm going to be blessed for helping others. So don't just think about yourself. Think about thy brother. Love thy brother. Okay? So let's be in unity. Let's love one another. Let's get past this. We can't change the past. None of this is going to bring stuff back. Okay? And we got to get off labels. Because that knee that was on that brother's neck, right? It was a white officer, right? So we labeled it racism. If it was a black cop that was on his neck, guess what we would have said? He's an Uncle Tom, right? So we got to get off labels. Death is death. I don't care if the cop killed him or my neighbor killed him. Death is death. So we got to come together to prevent this stuff as best we can. We're not going to stop it, but we can prevent a lot of stuff, okay? God bless you guys. And I hope that stuff that all of us said today, I hope that something set in. right? Something set in that can change the way you deal with life. Thank you. Right on!
Hey, we are at the final stage of our program for this day. The next person who's going to speak will be Mr. Larry Gray, who was the founder of Midnight Basketball. And again, he has had an illustrious career as a coach, a mentor, a leader, a game changer in San Francisco. So want to make sure Larry gets a chance to come up, and then we're going to close out with Reverend Emmett Neal from one of the most illustrious families of academics and sports achievement in San Francisco, the Neal family. And Reverend Emmett Neal will close us out for the day. Again, want to thank everybody and get you out of here before this rain hits. Lawrence Gray, Larry Gray, thank you, sir.
Just a few thoughts. Really appreciate it. Appreciate the way you all handle yourselves.
Larry, can you say something about the...
we let him do it. The way you handle yourselves, we was expecting more people, but they didn't come. That's okay. I'm glad you all came. Okay. I know there was a lot of sabotation, you know, but that's okay. Okay, I'm just going to give you a few thoughts and a few things I'd like for you all to think about. Just give me a few minutes. April 18, 1775. This is known in history as the shot that was heard around the world, which started the Revolutionary War. United States was getting their freedom from Great Britain. May 25th, 2020 is known as the video. The video that was seen around the world. The video that brought the world to a standstill. The video that bringing us into a new world. We're in a new world right now. Whoever would have thought that we would be mixing races together for the same cause? We witnessed a white police officer putting his knee in a black man's neck, on his neck. You was able to see the life drain out of that man's body. America, we have been discriminated against in jobs, health care, housing, the justice system, education, and with police brutality. San Francisco, reforms are not only needed in the police department, it's needed in the city and county of San Francisco need to be reformed. Absolutely. Department of Human Resources. Absolutely. Their hiring practices. Yeah. Promotion of black applicants. Yes. Black employees are not accessible to move up the ladder to get the top spots like everybody else. The San Francisco Unified School District. They need to hire and recruit black teachers. They need to remove these 4 letters from behind the black and brown student's name. There's 4 letters that's very, very discriminating. Those 4 letters are capital F, capital S, capital F, capital P, SP, capital E, capital D. I worked at Balboa for 24 years, just retired in June. Behind our brown and black kids, when I first saw all those alphabets, I thought that was a new type of degree. I thought you could get a degree in SPED. We need to get the special ed label off of our kids. All our kids are not special ed. They just don't want to learn because they're not being taught correctly. We need to infuse black history into our school system. 28 days is not enough. We need black history 365 days. Come on. 365 days. And if they don't want to give it to us in the school, community, you can teach them yourself. Yes. There are ways we can teach them. After school programs, you can use flashcards to teach black history. That's why the city and county of San Francisco need to put more money into places like Ella Hill Hutch. Look at Ella Hill Hutch. This place was known as the Black City Hall. Everybody showed up here. Any problems in the city, Ella Hill Hutch, where they met and ironed them out. Look at this place. Does this look like a historical place? Look at it. Green grass here. Look around the wall. Look up there. That's terrible. We need to put more money into our community. In fact, black history was not mentioned too much in the school system. Not at all. So that's something that we want to fight for. The San Francisco Police Department, they need to revisit the penal code. They need to study the penal code. There need to be consequences, and they need to be held accountable for their wrongdoing. Police department, that goes for the chief, all the way down to the rookies. That needs to go from the chief to the rookies. They need to spend time into the academy again. They need to go back and learn more about being better police officers. It starts with leadership. San Francisco Health Department. All of you people out here today, you are traumatized. You are traumatized from what you saw. You've been traumatized all your life, and guess what? Nobody want to give you any counseling. Nobody reach out to you for counseling. Everybody else gets counseling but us. So we need to concentrate on making the public health department held accountable for us. George Floyd is just the latest example of our oppression. You have had your knee on our necks since arrival in 1619. White America, just as we have fought beside you in your revolution, in the fight for your independence, it's time for you to stand with us in war for justice and equality. I'm through. Anyway, I know what you're saying. This is what the thing that I was talking about. You right. Right on.
We have our representatives. Everybody with me. Personal representative, and we're going to let him make an announcement.
First of all, thank you, Mr. Tolliver. I appreciate you. And thank you so much to Mr. Gray for all of his leadership too. I do want to just briefly let you know about something that's happening across the street. If you have some time to go right through Buchanan Mall right here, you'll see that in front of the African American Arts and Culture Complex, there's a literal mural similar to one that you see on the streets of DC being painted right now as we speak. That's going to say Black Lives Matter from here on down to Octavia. So I encourage you to check that out. That's happening. That's youth-led. There's also going to be a youth-led movement today at 4 o'clock from the same area on down. And it's going to be youth from our neighborhood here in the Western Addition. I was born and raised in this neighborhood, was actually working here in Ella Hill Hutch, and that's why I am actually right now on special assignment. So it's important for me to be out here too. Thank you to all of the allies that's out here standing with us. And the mayor had just announced yesterday a series of reforms that I encourage you to check out. Some of them is demilitarizing the police department. Of course, she's working with Supervisor Walton to redirect some of that funding to community-based programs, specifically in the African American community. So it's important that we make sure those dollars get to the folks that it need to get to so we can continue to do the work here. And then I just want to say too, when you say Black Lives Matter, Black lives can't matter in name only. When you say Black Lives Matter, that means black jobs matter. That means black businesses matter. I mean, we're just talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma.
There you go, brother.
And, you know, it's a blessing, and it's a curse and a blessing that President Trump chose that day to accept the nomination. The curse is just because it's him. The blessing is because now people are starting to study Black Wall Street and what that was and what happened on that day.
That's right.
People are starting to study Juneteenth now and getting curious about what that means for us. Because we've been doing Juneteenth in the Fillmore and in the city and county of San Francisco, Bayview, for 70 years. This would have been the 70th anniversary. And we're going to find a way to get out there and do it again. There's things being organized right now, but all of that to say that after the media is gone, after the coverage is gone, after everyone gets the reforms, it's also an economic conversation that has to happen with black businesses, supporting black businesses. Black housing matters. In this neighborhood, you have urban renewal that took away a lot from the black community, took away the wealth that I could have had from my grandfather even. So we have a history and a legacy of oppression and racist policies here in San Francisco that 60 years later we're still suffering from. So we have to make sure that while we're saying Black Lives Matter, we need to show up when black housing comes up on the agenda. When black economics comes into play, black businesses, black youth employment, black youth jobs, black education, how our kids are being taught in the schools, the achievement gap. And with that, I encourage you to stay active, stay moving, stay allies, and stay powerful. God bless y'all.
We're going to close out the event for the day. I want to again encourage everybody. We're getting this website built as we speak, so it is not all the way live, but you will be able to find out more information on what we're involved with, what stands we take for
Athletes United for Justice. Okay? So it's going to be Athletes United for Justice. We want to thank you. We have our closing prayer from Reverend Emmett Neal. We want to have everybody's cooperation. We want to make sure everybody is quiet. A moment of reflection.
All right, could I have your attention, please? Let us, as we prepare to close, we want to ask God's blessings upon our coming together, and let us bow our heads in a word of prayer. Lord, we thank you, we honor you, we glorify you, we magnify you on today. We ask that you bless us, bless the work. God, and we know that the work is not done in vain. We know that you're going to bring about change, and we know that you're going to change attitudes and behaviors. And Lord, it all starts with us. And God, we just thank you for allowing us to come. Thank you for Coach Gray and all of the staff that have made this opportunity for us to let the world know that we are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And we won't change. And we want change to happen right now. So bless us and keep us. Bless all of our families. Bless us individually, and then bless us collectively. And so the next generation would be able to do the things that we wanted done, but they have an opportunity to make it happen today. So bless us and keep us. It's in Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And we had a great day here at Ella Hill Hutch. As we stood tall, we stuck together. We had one message, was united for justice. The athletes and families that was here supporting the athletes United for Justice. It was a beautiful day. It was something that we will remember. This was an iconic moment, and these images need to be said and told and seen by many. So we look forward to sharing these messages always, that we stand for justice always. CityBall has been proud to be standing with many on this journey, and we want to stay on this journey, on this message of justice for all. Your boy Joe Bells at CityBall. Everybody have a blessed day, and this was an iconic day for everyone. Thank you.